It's Friday, January 28th, and this is now on HNA.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the leader of the Brotherhood, your head coach of the University of Hawaii football team, Timmy Chang.
New at noon, Timmy Chang is officially welcomed as the Rainbow Warriors' new head football coach.
Meanwhile, UH students are set to return to campus after starting the semester online.
The faculty, the students, the staff from day one have learned how to be nimble.
And have you seen these images yet? A bridge in Pittsburgh collapses on the same day of President Biden's infrastructure visit.
And we finally got it done. A bipartisan infrastructure law, including the largest investment in our nation's bridges.
These stories, plus are you seeing higher prices at the pump in Hawaii? We'll tell you why coming up on This Is Now.
I'm going to give you my all, and let's just see where the chips fall.
We begin with big sports news that just developed moments ago at the Stan Sheriff Center.
That's right. New University of Hawaii head football coach Timmy Chang was formally introduced as the 25th head coach in program history. Just minutes ago, he took questions from the media.
Just going to keep working, keep grinding, It's what the people need, It's what the state needs. It's what the president and our athletic director and athletic department were working so hard for, is for us to get this thing going. And I'm going to work my tail off, and make sure that we got the things that we need, and that these kids, more importantly, they know that they got a guy in their corner that's going to put them in the right position to succeed.
You kind of brought it up, the landscape of college football just in the last couple of years, how much has changed, particularly the two signing days, one in December. The other one is coming up this Wednesday, obviously. You've gotten a late jump. Do you have a particular number of players you're aiming to sign? What is your plan with that? Of course, you got the transfer portal, so it's not like a drop-dead date like it used to be. Mm-hmm. How are you dealing with that?
Yeah, like you said, I did a number of interviews, and I'm an open book about it because I know that we probably have the most scholarships in the country at this point, and so I'm going to use that to our advantage. And so, even though the date's here, I would say this: when you look at recruiting at the December date, about 80% of the scholarships are taken at that time, and so that's why it's a rush to get the best players available right now. But with the landscape of how transfer portal, with the COVID year that the kids get a year back, it just kind of backlogged high schools, it backlogged JUCOs, and so very publicly we've lost very good key members of this team. And so I want to make sure that with these scholarships, these coveted scholarships, we replace them and be patient and make sure that we get the right guys to fit these roles.
You think there's any chance some of the guys that have left could come back?
There's so much good talent, and you watch them. You watch Wisconsin, you got guys. You watch Notre Dame, they got guys from us. You watch UCLA, USC. There's no doubt Hawaii breeds.
But I'm talking more about the guys that entered into the transfer portal this past year. Is there a chance that maybe a couple of them may be able to come back?
Oh, yeah. I think we got a tagline, Ikomo Mai, don't we, Jake? So, we welcome them all back, and, we're going to build a relationship. We understand, there's opportunities in other places and unbelievable opportunities, but we'll welcome all these kids back. If for whatever reason the experience ain't what it is, they're welcome back here. Again, they got to fit our need because we have needs, and we want to make sure we meet those needs.
Happening today, the Navy, along with state and federal health officials, will be explaining their plan to clean the fuel-tainted Red Hill shaft. A media briefing is scheduled for this afternoon, but this is what we know so far. The Navy received state approval yesterday to begin filtering the Red Hill shaft water and release up to 5 million gallons of treated water per day into the Halava stream. The stream starts above Halava Valley and winds below the Moanalua, H3, and H1 freeways and through the Aloha Stadium parking lot before emptying into Pearl Harbor near the USS Arizona Memorial. The health department says it's important to pump out the Red Hill shaft so that the water does not migrate to other parts of the groundwater aquifer. The state is also requiring that the Navy monitor the water going into the stream to make sure it's not contaminated, and if they exceed acceptable limits, the discharge will be stopped.
A bridge spanning a ravine collapsed in Pittsburgh, requiring rescuers to rappel nearly 150 feet, while others formed a human chain to help rescue multiple people from a bus. Now, the collapse came hours before President Biden visited the city to press for his $1 trillion infrastructure bill, which includes bridge maintenance. Authorities say there were minor injuries from the collapse, but no fatalities.
We've got to get it on with it. We got to move. The next time, we don't need headlines saying that someone was killed when the next bridge collapsed.
Now to the pandemic. The state is reporting 5 more COVID-related fatalities, along with 1,907 new infections today. The breakdown of cases includes almost 1,000 cases on Oahu. Maui is in the 300s, the Big Island and Kauai are in the 200s, and Lanai and Molokai are reporting single digits. Meanwhile, the University of Hawaii is welcoming back students to its Manoa campus on Monday. Casey Lund shows us how the administration plans to do it safely.
Aloha from Campus Center here at UH Manoa, and I want to get right to Provost Michael Bruno, and I want to talk, Michael, a little bit about those discussions that you guys had, and these are difficult decisions that affect a lot of people. I know that you don't take any of these changes or decisions lightly, but on the 28th, when you folks decided that, it is time, and the administration decided to go to online courses, how nimble have your instructors, your staff, your faculty, and even the students had to become throughout the last 2 years to be able to pivot to online instead of in-person classes?
Well, nimble is a great word. The faculty, the students, the staff from day one have learned how to be nimble in how they work, how they learn, how our faculty teach. We've had, 3 major waves of this thing, and when we made our decision, in fact, when we made every decision, we leaned on a group of people, a group of our healthcare and public health medical professionals. We've been with those folks in the room weekly since the beginning of this thing back in 2020. So they've really helped steer this canoe, if you want, through this journey that's been up and down and across so many waves. And
I know that we wouldn't be welcoming those students back Monday if we didn't feel confident in those discussions with those healthcare professionals. I want to also ask you about the emotional, mental health side of this pandemic, and that is so important, just as important as the COVID protocols, the health and safety protocols. What is UH Manoa specifically doing to make sure that students and even staff are supported through? We're still not out of this thing, right?
Yeah, so first of all, this is a major factor in our decision to come back. We need people to be out of isolation, interacting with one another and supporting each other. So that's one reason. At the same time, and since the beginning of the pandemic, we established several different resources, our mental health counseling, our resident counselors in our student residence halls, which have been filled for several semesters now. So those professionals are on call. They're a combination of in-person and online. We're going to make sure that those resources are at least at this level, and if not expanded as we go forward this semester.
Very good. Michael Bruno with us today to talk about welcoming those students back, again happening January 31st. And so for so many of those young Rainbow Warriors, it's an exciting day as they were dealing with the Delta surge in the fall of last year. A lot of those folks haven't been on campus yet, so something for sure to celebrate. For now, we'll send things back to you.
Hawaii's visitor spending numbers are still below pre-pandemic levels. A total of 753,000 visitors, mostly from the U.S. mainland, arrived in the state last month, spending just $1.7 billion. That's down about 5% from December in 2019. Japanese tourism numbers remain dismal, with only 4,000 visitors from Japan last month. And we have this update to pass along. 12 new COVID cases were found among Olympic-related personnel. That's according to Beijing's organizing committee for the 2022 Olympic Winter Games. They said that in a statement today. 10 of the cases tested positive upon arrival at the airport customs, of which 2 were athletes or team officials. 2 non-athletes tested positive inside the closed loop during the daily COVID screening test. New at noon, we want to toss it over now to Christy Lou Stout, who has an update on how Asia as a whole is dealing with the pandemic these days.
When Omicron first emerged last year, governments across the region turned to a trusted strategy: tough border restrictions. But that has not stopped the variant. Late last year, Japan sealed its borders to foreigners, including international students. It's now gripped by a record wave of infection. And China remains closed off with its zero COVID policy. But Omicron has managed to sneak in. It's been detected in at least 11 cities across the country. And with its fate tied to China, Hong Kong continues to pursue zero COVID with tough measures. And now the city is grappling with prolonged isolation and a growing Omicron outbreak. Singapore, another Asian financial hub, is taking a living with COVID approach and eased its border controls. Cases are on the rise there. And with strict health measures in place, the Singapore Air Show, it's Asia's biggest aviation event, will take place during the pandemic again, but at a smaller scale. Tourism-dependent Indonesia has reopened 2 islands to Singaporean tourists as it manages the virus. And Thailand will relax quarantine rules next week for international arrivals as it sees slowing COVID-19 infections. But Australia is seeing a surge of COVID-19 deaths as Omicron burns through the country, just over a month after it reopened its borders to some fully vaccinated non-citizens. Infections also hit a record high this month in the Philippines, and this comes just weeks after temporarily barred travelers from some countries where Omicron had been detected. South Korea is also setting new records. In fact, this week, posting the highest number of daily new cases since the pandemic began. Now, most international travelers to South Korea are subject to a mandatory 10-day quarantine. Many borders across Asia remain heavily restricted, taking a toll on business and on tourism. And the WHO has made an appeal to, quote, lift or ease international traffic bans as they do not provide added value and continue to contribute to the economic and social stress experienced by states parties. In this 3rd year of COVID-19, much of the region remains cut off from the world. The cost of isolation is rising, and Omicron continues to spread. Christy Lou Stout, CNN, Hong Kong.
The cost of gas is on the rise. AAA Hawaii says oil prices are the highest they've been since 2014, pushing our gas prices up. Crude oil prices are higher because of the Russia-Ukraine tensions, and consumer demand increased in 2021 as people started hitting the roads again. The average price for Hawaii is now $4.38. That's up 4 cents since last week, and it's $1 more than the national average, which is $3.35. Prices are even higher on the neighbor islands. On Lanai this week, fuel reached $6.39 a gallon. It's over $5 on Maui and Molokai, and experts recommend saving gas by driving slower, keeping your tires properly inflated, and removing excess weight from your car. The family of a Kauai woman who was found dead 3 months ago is still grappling with their pain. They're wondering if police were wrong in calling her death a suicide. Dylan Ancheta spoke with her children.
54-year-old Jody Lynn Taylor was last seen alive at a Koloa grocery store on October 7th. 10 days later, her body was found in bushes on Kauai's south side.
Everybody loved her. That was... Sorry, bro.
Nicholas Pedro is still wrapping his mind around the fact that his mom, Jody Lynn Taylor, is gone.
Everybody loved her.
His sister, Sasha Kane, also remembers their family-centered mom as fun-loving and always smiling.
You know, she may be a titter here and there, but she was outgoing. She loved to cruise.
Her body turned up in the Kukui'ula area on October 17th, badly decomposed. Police called it a suicide, and the family said authorities relied on a rope found nearby and other evidence. But the family believes it was foul play, and police missed key clues in the case.
It feels like we can't trust anyone, really. You know, especially like KPD and be like, hey, you know, this. They're not going to do nothing. You know what I mean? They need evidence in this. I'm just like...
Well, there is evidence. They just didn't get any.
The family said their mom had been threatened in the past and was apparently found with a knife nearby for an unknown reason. They say there was evidence that her car was moved and tampered with after she died, and they were disappointed that it took police 5 days to find her body after her vehicle was found in the area.
It is frustrating at times, you know, with families because they want things as soon as possible to bring final closure. But some things is out of our control.
KPD says they've been waiting for the autopsy report to be finalized to share all of their findings, which can take on average 3 to 4 months.
We wish that things could be faster, but in these type of cases, it does take a little while.
Police say they've been responsive to the family's requests for information. The family feels, however, they've been kept in the dark and didn't realize that police stopped investigating for foul play after deeming it a suicide.
There's a whole lot of other stuff to this story. That's why it makes us very suspicious.
It sucks. My mom is gone. She's never coming back. If we can get the answers and closure for this, at least she can be in peace.
Now, earlier this week, detectives met with Kane, and she was able to get some of her mom's personal items back. However, the final autopsy report is pending. Dylan and Cheta, Hawaii News Now.
And this just in, everyone, the state senate has passed a measure that would raise Hawaii's minimum wage to $18 by the year 2026. Right now, our minimum wage is $10.10. So under this proposal, that would go up to $12 in October of this year, $15 on January 1st, 2024, and then $18 on January 1st, 2026. So, of course, the Senate passed it, so now it goes over to the House. So senators are hoping that their House colleagues will follow suit.
Yeah, a lot of people following that story closely. Gonna take you live outside right now. Everyone is also wondering what the weekend weather is gonna be like. We got Billy V in the house with an update.
Thank you very much. Let's take a look as we start from the midday here on your Aloha Friday. Look at this. No winds really for the most part for the Hawaiian Islands. Lots of sunshine, drier conditions. It's going to be a great day today. We do get the trade winds back tomorrow for a little while, but then we go back to light and variable winds as we go into Sunday and into next week. So you can see that pretty much for the leeward sides here, no real winds, and we do have a front. We've got two fronts that are on the way. They'll both kind of stall out and they'll block the trade winds as well. So that's kind of in the forecast as that one goes by and another one does approach. So your 7-day forecast, we also see that same reflection as far as your weather goes. Light and variable winds today, the trade winds tomorrow. We've got light winds and great conditions, lots of sunshine and a drier trend as we get through the rest of the week. Real quickly here, let's go ahead and show you your surf numbers. 6 to 8 feet over on the North Shore. That's kind of leveling out. West side 4 to 6. Town spots, probably your last day of jellyfish. No marine warnings in effect. Enjoy your weekend. Let's get you back to This Is Now.
Good to see those jellyfish go bye-bye.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many people sent me this story or tagged me in this next story, and it's a funny one, and you'll see why. All right, nearly 200 years old, the Guinness Book of World Records has named Jonathan the tortoise the oldest one ever to live. Yes, we share the same name and have very, very similar features.
And good genes.
Yeah. Oh, my mom will appreciate that. No one knows exactly how old Jonathan the tortoise is, but experts believe he was born in 1832, thus making him about 190 years old here in 2022. Roughly the same age as me as well. Right? Yeah. He was given to a man named Sir William Gray Wilson, a politician, in 1882. He was then brought to St. Helena, an island, a remote island, where Wilson later became governor. He was fully mature at that time, meaning he was probably about 50 years old at around that point in time. And he's darn cute.
He is.
Yeah, look at that guy.
Congratulations to the both of you.
Oh, thank you. I did have a birthday this month.
Yes.
What'd you find?
So from tortoises to tigers, and we're talking about Tiger King. So a federal judge has resentenced Tiger King Joe Exotic to 21 years in prison. So the former zookeeper, whose real name is Joseph Maldonado Passage, was convicted in a murder-for-hire case involving his rival Carol Baskin. There was a whole Netflix series about it.
Yeah.
So he was sentenced 2 years ago to 22 years in prison, but a federal appeals court ruled last year that the proper sentencing guidelines weren't used. So prosecutors say Maldonado Passage tried to hire 2 different people, including an undercover FBI agent to kill Baskin, who criticized his treatment of animals. Baskin actually attended today's sentencing and said Maldonado Passage, quote, continues to harbor intense feelings of ill will toward me.
Wow, I'm surprised she attended.
Yeah.
All right, and we have one more tech car story, right?
Yeah, so Tesla's Cybertruck is delayed once again. So CEO Elon Musk told investors the pickup won't be ready until 2023, 2 years after it was promised. He said the main issue is new technology and finding a price point people are willing to pay. So when the truck was announced back in 2019, it had a starting price of $39,900. During the call this week, Musk also said no new vehicles for Tesla will be announced this year.
I actually think it looks super cool, sort of like a truck version of the DeLorean. All right, guys, let's see what Stephanie Lum is up to with this week's Mothership podcast.
Sam, I gotta tell you, first of all, and I know I'm not the only one, but you look amazing. You look great. I'm not. Hey, there's no jokes about it. You look awesome because I know at one point in time in your life, right, you weighed at your heaviest. What I read was 400 pounds, and you managed to whittle that down and lose close to 200 pounds.
Let me take you back in the beginning when I was just blooming, just exploding. Basically, my career was really taking off. I was a chef for Hyatt and then Hilton, kind of like did a lot of exciting things with food, mentally. In all of this, I got interviewed by a dietitianist, and she watched me in our little conversation that I tanked about 3 diet sodas. And she told me, she said, let me do a little challenge with you. I just sat here for about 20 minutes. I saw you drink 2 diet sodas. And now, if I'm not mistaken, you're on your 3rd can. I said, well, that's not counting the other 5 I had earlier this morning. So she says, in our human appetite of being obese or out of control, we condition ourselves for things that we like. And she says that the real most important thing, we have to decondition ourselves for not wanting. And, I was kind of listening, but then I kind of felt like, I got to really digest what she just said. But it's true. It's like an athlete who prepares themselves for a swim or condition themselves for any kind of sporting event or even studying. You condition yourself. And, in Hawaii, our biggest problem is our food is so ono. Our food, our plate lunches are so good. But then it has to be topped off with rice. We have to have the rice with the teriyaki. We have to have the rice with the sweet sour. We go to Chinese restaurants. Normally, you eat just the proteins and the vegetables, but then we all wolf it down with rice. We eat poke bowls with rice, instead of just having it with salads and things like that. So I got to learn that. I got to learn to just eat the proteins, and then the carbohydrates would not be a major,
Listen to Stephanie Lum's entire conversation with Sam Choi wherever you find your podcast. Just search Hawaii News Now. Have a great weekend.
Happy birthday, Sam.